The second thing we're looking forward to the most is the race for the top of the Eastern Conference. Now, we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs later on in the episode, but the top of the East is absolutely insane right now. It's going to be a bloodbath going down to the wire.
Well, I'd even say that the Eastern Conference in general has been the best it's been, for a long time,
I
man.
think they, statistically, for the past 30 years, I think this is the best we've seen.
This is the best Eastern Conference. And again, it's not even just the top of the East. Like, we'll talk about the playoff picture. Even, like, down to the kind of the middle to the bottom of the East. Like, there's still some competitiveness and some really good teams that are out there in the Eastern Conference.
Definitely the Eastern Conference has been better than the Western Conference for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. So the Eastern Conference, the 3 to 5 seeds, which are the 76ers, Cavs, and Bucks as of right now, are all 2.5 games behind the 1 and 2 seeds who are tied, which are the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls. Basically, the top 5 teams are all in the exact same area, and then you have the teams like the Boston Celtics, Toronto Raptors, and the Brooklyn Nets, who are 6 to 8, but are basically right behind them. And then you have the 9 to 10 seeds, which are, again, right behind the 6 to 8 seeds.
Pretty much, if you're in between, like, seeds, like, 4 to, like, 12, you're, like, within, like, 2 games of each other. Like,
Even within, like, the first seed. Like,
yeah.
Again, the Raptors are, the 7th seed right now? They're only, I think, 6.5 games. 4.5 games behind. 5.
Yeah,
5 games behind.
it's just super tight. Like, every win matters in the Eastern Conference these days, and yeah, it's just because there's so much competition right now.
Speaking of the top of the East with the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls, they're basically looking to get healthy so that their guys can contribute for the long haul and that they're, obviously their teams can get even better. With the Miami Heat, it's obviously Victor Oladipo's return. They've already assigned him to the G League, so hopefully he'll start ramping it up soon. And then just overall health improvement with Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler. Obviously, Kyle Lowry's missed a bunch of games with health issues. He also missed a couple of games because of personal reasons. But Lowry and Jimmy Butler have missed, a handful of games. It's just about them getting better. And obviously, once it comes to the playoffs and the end of the season, they're not going to be missing games with slight injuries. They're going to play through those injuries.
Yeah, no, I mean, Oladipo definitely being back. A lot of you forgot that Oladipo is on the Miami Heat. And the fact of the matter, they can now add him into what they already got going on, is definitely very exciting. And then again, like the Bulls, Lonzo Ball, Alex Hughes was unfortunately out for the season. But even Patrick Williams, who's pretty close to returning as well, will definitely help Chicago continue to be a dominant team like they've been showing themselves to be this season. So, yeah, I mean, if these guys get healthy, I mean, again, it just adds more fuel to the fire in terms of how competitive the East has been this season.
And again, with all due respect to the Cavs, none of us really expect the Cavs to do much in the playoffs. Now, again, with how they've been playing, they could definitely surprise everyone and actually make things really interesting. I would not be surprised. Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, all those guys have been great. Kevin Love, like their whole team as a whole is been really good. But respectfully, like none of us really have them as those top guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of the 76ers and Bucks, those teams are almost healthy. They're just basically looking to establish more chemistry in the home stretch of the season. With the 76ers, as we mentioned, it's about them trying to integrate James Harden within the system with Joel Embiid and the rest of the team. And it gives them the potential to have the best duo in the league, basically. They also just need to get James Harden to that 100% mark, which we don't know what his situation is. But hopefully he'll be healthier than he was during his Nets tenure.
Well, that's the hope, at least. Like, he needs to be in better shape. And we got to know what that hamstring injury is looking like. Again, like, the guy was hitting step backs in the gym when he first got to Philly, and he had a hamstring injury. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how James Harden... And again, this ties back to what we were talking about earlier, but really, the way James Harden and Joel Embiid are going to play together is really going to dictate how the remainder of the season is going to go for the Eastern Conference. Like, these guys can absolutely tear it up, and Philly can, like, rocket up the standings, or they can kind of, stay the same, or drop lower. It really depends.
Yeah, and with the Bucks, they just need their players to be on the floor constantly. They're going to obviously feel the absence of Brook Lopez. Pat Connaughton's going to be out for a while. They just traded Dante DiVincenzo. So they basically signed DeAndre Bembry for the rest of the season. And they also traded for Serge Ibaka, who's going to give them those center minutes while Brook Lopez is out. And hopefully replace some of that lost production. Though this team is not as good as last year's team because they are missing, obviously, Brook Lopez. And then PJ Tucker was a huge,
Huge.
departure. this team still has Giannis, who is arguably the best player in the league at this point. And, they still have guys like Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, who can really get it going in the playoffs. So the Milwaukee Bucks, though, again, they are not as great this season.
Don't count them out.
Don't count them out for sure.
Listen, they're the defending champs. Like, they have every right to have, to have the right to defend their crown. Like, they won the championship, and, you can't really doubt them until they lose. So, and again, they have one of the best, they have arguably the best player in the world right now in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So,